bobby pin to tame this mane, and the mane said no taming. Hi Flosstube, I'm back with a 2-week update. I was blessed with the best kind of stitchy bug in the whole entire world for the last 2 weeks, which is the bug that bites and you stitch like a mad woman, and the speed and everything's just perfect. The frog doesn't come. However, it has left. And I'll go more into that as this video goes on. I have a lot to cover during this Flosstube, so buckle up, get your stitching ready, grab your drinks, your popcorn, your notebook, everything, because today is a jam-packed Flosstube stitchy update. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of you new subscribers, old subscribers, commenters, likers, dislikers. You guys are amazing, and my last Flosstube was just filled with just love and comments and everything, and you really know how to make a girl blush. So I appreciate all of you who are new, and I way appreciate all of you who are returning guests. For the new subscribers, my name is Rocío. Gazpacho is taking a nap. He'll probably make an appearance. That's fake Gazpacho hanging out with me. My channel is Cocohamas Stitchery, and this is literally a channel about, it's kind of like a video diary of stitching, but by me. So welcome to my little corner of YouTube. So let's start where we left off. We left off with an almost finish. You'll see why it's an almost finish. Okay, so where we left off was an almost finish. So I was working on Plum Street Sampler Halloweenies for my best friend Brenda, and this is where we are. Disclaimer, nothing is ironed, nothing is pressed, nothing is prim and proper. I have hoop marks galore, and we are just going to roll with it. So this is Halloween. It's a finish, but it's not a finish, obviously, right? So we got the dachshund's done. He was not done the last time. Some of the letters, I think I had hollow, so I got ew. Because I ran out of Raven. Yes, we pulled a unicorn tapestry. The letters are stitched in the Gentle Art Raven, and as you can see, I'm out. I went Ort hunting, so that's how I got that little stick next to E, and I tried 310, but 310 is way darker, and the texture of DMC 310 is not like Gentle Art's Raven. So we are sticking with Halloween. I'll be back in San Antonio pretty soon. I have Raven. With Unicorn Tapestry, I didn't have, was it 782? If I'm right about that number, that's really impressive. But 782 I was out of, and I had very generous people offer to send me that, and I actually never finished that one either. But I'm good on Raven. I have Raven at home. It's just I don't have another skein of Raven here. I'll do a full finish on Halloween when I get back to San Antonio. And it'll get FFO'd, and hopefully will be finished in time for Halloween, and I can get it to Brenda. Brenda, don't hold me to that though. I don't know if that's gonna happen. This may be like one that you can put up for Christmas, because that makes sense. You know, makes sense. That is my first Halloween. So after I finished Halloween, I started the Frankenstein Stitch Along Through Stitching Book Club. The designer is Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts on Etsy. It's my first stitching book club, and I am reading the book alongside it. I had shown you guys the fabric last time. So this is where Frankenstein is. So we have a name, We have the first two panels, squares, stitched. The border was released before the stitch along started. However, I am a terrible counter. Math is not my forte, so I am stitching the border as I go. And so here you can see that that one's stitched. I need to stitch it over here. And this is, you know, it's a simple stitch, fairly quick. It's on, picture this plus 32 count monster mash. And then all of the floss that I'm using are over dyed by WeeksDyeWorks. I have them just not with me. So what I'll do is I'll do a more in-depth discussion on what flosses I used. But what I've been doing is I pick one, like contrasting in my palette and doing some details. So on this one I did the lightning bolt, the door, and the back stitching in the windows. On this one I picked a different color and did the water and the stars and the moon. And actually I've seen quite a few people do that. So I thought of it on my own, but I'm not original. I think a lot of people kind of had the same idea of doing a palette and then picking and choosing like where you want to put. Basically it's my freestyle piece. I just kind of look and see what I'm feeling, and that's another reason why I haven't stitched the border yet, is I don't know exactly what colors I want to include and what colors I want to play around with. I really like that it's kind of a hodgepodge because it's Frankenstein, and I am really enjoying the fabric. So super fun stitch. Like I said, it's my first stitching book club, and I'm also reading the book. The first book discussion should be coming up pretty soon, and the second part, I guess third part, I guess it would be technically the third part, but it's the second part because it's the little motifs, but the border was released first, should be coming out in the next couple of days. I'm gonna try my best to keep up with that stitch along, but I have more news about that in the plans. Hold on. Then I had a new start, and I talked about it last time. So I started Bluebeard's Princess, Mirabella by Mirabilia. And I did a pre-record on this project because I have a lot to say about it. So I'm going to show it here, and then I'm going to insert the video where I talk about all of the things. And this fabric looks better when it's further away so you get a full color. But like I said, I'm going to insert that video here. You're going to get a lot more close up of her through this video. So here you'll get just a little better look at Bluebeard's Princess. So here's the chart. That is Bluebeard's Princess, and her name is Mirabella by Mirabilia. And remember how I had said that everything was kitted? It's not kitted. I did kit everything in San Antonio, but I think that in the mix of trying to escape and get back here before the borders closed, I must have left that bag of beads and missing silk in San Antonio, which is okay because I'll be there sooner rather than later, so I'm just not gonna do any of the beading until the end. Excuse the hoop marks. I am stitching in a hoop. Oh my goodness, yes, I know. I'm stitching in a hoop to get better tension. When you are working with linen, it's really important to get the tension super, super taut to get the stitches laying as evenly as possible. I have this ridiculous obsession with wonky stitches. And actually, Alex3313 can tell you. I'll text her and be like, I'll show you a picture of my stitching, but don't look at the wonky stitches. So, tight fabric is like #1 key in getting stitches to be more uniform. Some things that I've done differently and picked up on. So her skin is, here, let me see if I can get it closer. Her skin is 2/1, but I did a conversion. So I'm gonna, like, this is where I started. I started in the middle and then I traveled up. And then I really focused really hard on the face. Ooh, let me see if I can get that light better. There. So, all of these tips that I'm about to tell you and all of these things that I did, I got through watching Cross Stitch with Luda. So one of the things that I did, the called for her skin was DMC 818, which as you can see is super pink. And I knew that Luda had a conversion, just skin conversions that she's done into silks. So for Athena, Goddess of Wisdom, I purchased these Splendor silks that she had recommended. They have, this is the blush porcelains, and they have, I think it's called bronze porcelains. And in one of her videos, she had the conversion of 818 was going to be this top one, so S1147. So I swapped these two, and that is what it looks like. I will say that stitching skin in silk is life-changing. You can see it's pretty uniform. And then if you go into her stomach area, these are not silks. So you can see right there, like the difference between the texture of a cotton and a silk. It's a pretty big difference. So I will see how I fix or how I adjust when I get down to her stomach again. I may frog some of that and convert it to silks. I'm not sure yet. Some other things that I wanted to know on Bluebeard. So due to my fabric choice, DMC 500 is the same color. So you can, I mean, it's pretty much the same color. It blends right in. And this color, 500, is, you can't even see it, but you'll see it a little bit in her crown. Here, let me pull it up. So it's a little bit over here in her crown. It's a little bit over here. And on the chart, which I have here, if you look at the big chunk in the middle of her hair, it starts out that navy blue and it transitions into that green. But I was thinking that she was gonna have a pretty big bald spot if I did that, so I just went ahead and did the whole chunk in that navy blue, which I actually really like. The open areas right now would be the 500, so I left them blank to see if you could tell, or like if it would make a difference, or if I needed to convert the color. But since it's surrounded by that blue, it's gonna be okay. And then these are temporary back stitches. I also, same, it's a technique that I learned through watching Cross Stitch with Luda, and there's gazpacho hair all over this project that I'll have to pick out at the end. And so that gives me an idea of where her arm is gonna go and helps me fill in around and see what kind of stitch I need to do where the back stitch is, whether it be like a quarter stitch or a 3/4 stitch or a full cross. I want to say like right there. So right there, for example, I had to decide how I wanted to stitch that stitch. I ended up going with a full cross because the 3/4 looked funky. And so the back stitch is just going to overlay, but it won't leak over into her arm. So those are kinds of things that I do with my Mirabilias. well, now. I'm not a Mirabilia pro, but I definitely have learned a lot in working. So I want to say Mirabilia wise, this would be my third. My first was Mermaid of Atlantis. My second is Santa's Magic, which you'll see here in a little bit. And here is Bluebeard. So here's another thing that I purchased a long time ago, and I actually want to get a second one of these because on my bigger projects that have more DMC, I bobbinate, and so I have all of my colors. I think they're in numerical order. They kind of get jumbled when I work. Then I have my water lilies in there. I have Krynic over here. But it just gives me like an organized working station. I'll put my scissors here. I have some invisible thread for the beading later. And I have like a little other pouch that I just put whatever doesn't fit in here. But I know some people use the, I think it's called the Paco like organizer. But this is, you know, a mini bobbin thing that I just kind of keep together. And like I said, I only have one. So right now I'm having to switch out all of the stuff when I'm working on a different project. But I will see if I can find the link and put it in below. And I definitely am gonna get another 2 or 3 since my whips have significantly gone up. See, so I have everything in there and then I just closed. And then Julie happened. Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. If you guys have followed her from the beginning, which I have not, this is news to me and I'm learning about it and I'm really excited about this. She has a snow day project. So every time that it snows, she pulls out this project. Her last snow day project was Snow Queen by Mirabilia, where she did a beautiful red hair conversion and she finished that up. And she had decided that Santa's Magic was going to be her new snow day project. So she mentioned in her Flosstube that she saw mine, she had it already kitted up, and that's kind of like what inspired her to start it. So when there was this crazy weather that happened and she was going to start it. So what I did was I did an honorary stitch with her, so stitch along, like stitch together, for the snow day. Obviously it does not snow here in Nassau, Bahamas, but I joined her on that and I did it just for one day. Santa's Magic was not supposed to come out until November, but here we are. So what I did is I worked on the mitten and finished that. But I think what I'm gonna do is record a better video on this one too, using the front facing camera so that you guys can see it. So this is Santa's Magic. Here's the chart. He is a big boy. So it looks like I have a lot done, right? You have like the whole head and his staff and his mitten, which this is what I worked on. And all of this is completed. But if you look over here, I am there. I'm like about halfway. I have all of this to go. Luckily, if you look, all of this is open. So I think I mentioned in one of my first floss tubes when I was a little baby floss tuber that I was really nervous about this fabric because as you can see, what they did here is they used the fabric as his cloak. The more that I think about it, I think it's gonna be okay. I think it's gonna be fine. I think the color choice is fine. And you know, at the end of the day, his name is Santa's Magic. So it almost, to me, with this, will look like he's just like a magical Santa coming out of the blue. Literally the blue because of the fabric. So some things I want to point out. One, you would think that I would have the Lion King in this project bag. Nope, I have Santa's Magic. Because that's how I roll. Where is this? So I talked to Julie about this when she had mentioned that she was going to be doing Santa's Magic. I unfortunately don't have the number of the Krynic, but a couple of things, and I don't know if they're going to show. This is the call for bead. It's 02012, so 2012. And they look red here, but they are pinky purple. So in his crown, the pinky purple, I switched out for some red beads, and then the Krynic behind his crown was supposed to be, so here's a good comparison, but I don't know if you can see. This is hot pinky purple. And again, it doesn't show up like it should. It looks red, which is likely why in the photograph, it looks like it would be red, but it's not. It's like a fuchsia, you can't see, but it's like a fuchsia purpley. So I swapped it for this Krynic. And you know, with Krynic, I don't know if anyone has any tips, but Krynic, the little labels, they pop off like nothing. So I can't even tell you what numbers they are because they just fall off and then get lost in the oblivion. But I swapped those Krynics, and I swapped these beads for the red beads in Xenia. And I did bead as I went. This is on 32 count Lugana by Picture This Plus. I think the name was Meditation. And you'll see on Lugana, the crosses and cross stitching come out super even. And the beading works really well. I didn't like Lugana at first because it was really tight, but the more that I work with fabrics, I do really like the look of Mirabilia's on Lugana. His face is done 1/1. And also his face came out really well. This was before I was doing like the carrying over one square, but luckily in this chart, it's not very blocky. Plus it's not very much skin, so it worked out fine. Then all of this is a Krynic. Like I said, this is all that I worked on the snow day, and the rest is Whisper thread. So all of that looks kind of puffy is Whisper. So this is Whisper. I think I talked about how to work with it on some of my earlier floss tubes too. And at the end, what you do is you'll take a brush and you'll make it wispy. There's some more Whisper over here. All of this is Whisper. It looks like carpet. The pairs are in Krynic. So overall, love this piece. But like I said, he's a big boy. So I'm halfway done. And I'm actually, there's something on it. I'm actually slightly nervous. Oh no, he should be okay. So I've got, what if I raise you guys up? There. I have, this is the top. That's already done. This is the edge. So I have plenty of space on this side. I started in the middle, so in theory I should have plenty of space here. The rest would be worrying about how far down he goes. But that will be a future problem, not a current problem. And it'll work out. Everything's gonna work out. If you guys knew how long it has taken me to record this floss tube, you guys would die. I'm having to do it like in sections. So here is the last two projects I will talk about, and since I'm re-energized to film some more, I'm gonna show you guys how I store my DMC. See, Gaspacho's even awake now. That's how you know it was a different time of day. He wakes up like at 2. So I talked about this in my plans. last Flosstube. It's September and there is Sampler September. So my original plan was actually to work on this sampler that I started last year. So this is Tempting Tease by Tempting Tangles Design. And I've talked about it before. But I don't think I've ever shown the picture of what it would look like. Maybe I have. But I didn't stitch on it very much at all because, well, a couple of things. Number one, it's on 56 count linen. And like I had mentioned with my Skeleton Crew 1/1, which I haven't touched since last Flosstube because I'm still not, it's just not yet. It's a not yet thing. I started this one, or started working on this, and I just was not feeling it. I wasn't inspired at all. I was frogging, and when you're not inspired and you're frogging, it's just not fun at all. So this is the Tempting Tease. I literally just did the finishing on this word, that little motif, and I don't even, oh, there we go. So that was the beginning of a letter, and you can see the holes because guess what? I had to frog it. So this piece, it's not a UFO. It will not be a UFO. It's been my traveling piece. Like I took it to Italy. I stitched on it in San Antonio a little bit. It's really easy to carry, and since it's words, you just stitch the word in the one color. So it's a fairly simple stitch design, but on 56 count, you have to be in the mood. So I have not been in the mood. And when I was stitching this and frogging this, because it was like stitch, then frog, then stitch, then frog. I like stitched the same letters like 50 times. It was either work on that, work on Bluebeard, but I was burnt out on Bluebeard because I had spent so much time on it. And so Shiloh, Xstitch MD, reposted in a story the Forest Embroidery 100 Owls SAL, which is a mystery stitch along that's going on right now. And let me put this away. I had seen it before. I love Owl Forest Embroidery. I did the Monster Wonder Whale, and it is one of my most favorite stitching pieces ever. I love their designs. They're so much fun to stitch. And so I had been tempted to do it, but I used to go through like this owl phase. Like I really liked owls, and then I was gifted a million owls and the owl thing kind of just stopped. So I do love owls, but not like an obsession, right? And to stitch 100 owls. So anyway, long story, she reposted it again. And at that point, I saw her story right when I was like in this funk, which I didn't know what to stitch. So it became a new start. Like I said, it's Owl Forest Embroidery, 100 Owls Stitch Along. It's a free stitch along that you can get on their website. And the called for is in their hand-dyed floss, or you can do it in DMC. So I did it in DMC, and I just went to my stash of fabrics and pulled this out. So here she is. I've got 3 owls down, so I have 97 to go. They released this weekly, and it's going to be 19 parts. The big one was part 1. This was part 2. Part 3, I don't remember which side it's on. It's one of these sides, and it's 5 little owls. So I'll work on those. And this is where like my stitching bug kind of died. So this is on 40 count, which is the first time I've worked on 40 count by UnderTheSea Fabrics. The color is Properly Primitive, and it's really pretty. I actually had this pulled for Skeleton Crew, but I didn't use it, so it got pulled for this. I really enjoy stitching on 40 count. All of this is DMC, and it's the called for. I didn't change anything except on this main owl right here, those little white heart looking design on his belly, they were supposed to be open. But since his belly's brown and the fabric is like a very similar color, you couldn't see it, so I just put white and filled it. It was a very minor change. So yeah, again, I know it's wrinkly and hoop marks, but what can I say about him? It was the perfect stitch that I needed because it's very few colors. It's a lot of just like, I don't know, it's Owl Forest Embroidery for me. This is the second one that I've done and I really enjoy their stitch. Like it's, like I said, it's really relaxing. Oh, and the stitchy bug. So I did this big owl like in 2 stitching sessions, which is really fast. You get up here and we start slowing down. So this middle vine took 1 stitching session, and then I believe it was this owl next. This one took 1. This owl took me 2. So this owl and this whole thing basically time-wise took me the same time. I restitched him a lot. I like confused colors, and having already done one, you would think that it'd be easier to do another one, but no. What I find is when I feel like I'm confident and I can do the stitch without looking at a pattern and crossing off and stuff, I mess up even more. So this guy and this guy took a very different amount of time. And like I said, they release their parts weekly. I think it's on Fridays. So we're due for the next part this Friday, but I am behind by 1 part. I'm not stressed about keeping up with the SAL at all. I think that I'll work, well, see, it's hard to say now because like my stitching bug, like I said, it went from the super fast stitchy bug that I could accomplish so much, and I did so much, to now it's kind of slowed down. So in the past 2-3 stitching days, I did the 1 owl. That's really slow. So it varies, like even stitching and a stitcher who stitches a lot, it varies. It can be super, super fast, a quick stitch, or a small piece can take forever. Which leads me into what my plans are for the next couple of weeks to month. I know, you guys are like, what? Couple of weeks to a month. I mentioned in my coffee chat, but now I will tell the Flosstube universe because it's public knowledge here that I am officially leaving Nassau. Living in Nassau, I'm leaving it. We are transferring to Houston, Texas. So H-Town is our next adventure. We are extremely excited about our new adventure. So, but with all of that, it means I gotta get to moving and moving internationally in a pandemic. So my plan would be to stitch and watch TV all day on a normal given basis, but given our plans are a little changed and we're kind of rushing the move as fast as possible, we're hoping to get movers in here within the next month. So I am trying to go through all of our stuff and evaluate how much we're taking. And that's kind of the only life update that I'm really doing on here. Since, like I said, I don't do life updates on my Flosstubes anymore. If you want to know more about my life, you can go and watch the Iced Coffee Chats. Because if not, I feel like my Flosstubes are ridiculously long. And I want to separate the two. So, you guys will see a lot more about my move and my journey and everything in my Iced Coffee Chat, which will probably be a little more, I'll have more content to talk about because it'll be my whole adventure. I'll be doing more vlogging. I'll be doing a lot, just like kind of taking you guys along for the ride, but just not in my Flosstube. I know that's really big news, right? If you guys have any questions though, or any special requests, please drop them below in the comments or send me a message on Instagram. I write down a bunch of stuff because I enjoy the interaction, and I mean, that's what this is, right? It's a community and it's a two-way street. So please feel free to reach out. Please feel free to comment below and share and do whatever makes you guys happy. And I will see you guys whenever next time is and in whatever avenue that is. But until then, have a great day, weekend, morning, evening. Stay safe. Gapachito, ven. Come here. Come here. Come here. There. You guys haven't seen him all Flosstube. So say hi. See you guys next time. So I guess this is the part of my Flosstube where I talk about my DMC storage. So this is DMC. And this is DMC. And I'm gonna flip the camera over so that you guys can get a better look. And this is the other side of my balcony with the plants that I haven't killed yet. So I'll see you in a little bit. So this is my big booty Judy. This is where I keep my DMC. So this is my entire collection that is bobbinated. It's all labeled in numerical order. Some of them are checked out into projects. I really like this guy. The label is Creative Options, double-sided multi-craft carrier. So I have on the other side, when you flip it, some extra room. I have more DMC and lots of open space. So I have like some DMC over here. I have some back in the day, way before Flosstube and social media for me. I used to collect these frosted pumpkin. See, I've always been kind of a collector. I used to do the frosted pumpkin Stitchery needle minders. So there's that one. And these are old. They're all together. A little penguin. Like, look at the match. Ooh. Oh, I think this one was from my Stitch Along. The Let's Go on an Adventure. I think that one's from there. Obviously. I mean, duh. A little sheepy. See, I've always been a collector. So all of these are hanging out in here. But I have graduated from the frosted pumpkin to Clay by Kim. And then I have some other needle minders. Like this one's, oh my gosh, this one's super strong. But that one's like a little teacup. This one was from my Monster Wonder Whale. I have a mushroom and a Simba. Ah! That I just dropped. So the rest of my DMC though, my stepmom was real into these 31 bags. So she actually got me this and it's like my favorite thing in the whole entire world. If you guys do 31, you can leave in the comments what style this is, but it's just like an open bucket that has a lot of outside pockets. And so all of my extra DMC, I have like a whole DMC kit. So they're all in little HEB, represent Texas, Texas stuff. They all have the colors, like the ones that are in here. So what I do is I first check my Big Booty Judy, and then after I do that, I go through here and I pick out from the new skeins. So they're all divided with like 100 in between. I'm trying to see which ones, like this one's a big one. So using my color card and figuring out what I have and my little floss system, that's how I do it. On this outside, I have extras. So these are like repeat colors. Then what do I have in here? Oh, DMC Black, Blanc, Floss Away bags, and bobbins. Tons of plastic bobbins. And all of this just goes into my little closet. So that's what I plan on doing in my future too, is I put this, and that's how it goes in the closet.